Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets and how they went from what you see up on the screen, Kd, Kyrie, and Harden, to Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie again, and Ben Simmons. We're just going to be talking about how they went to the Big Three, from the Big Three to now. So, the pre-Kd and Kyrie era, the Nets obviously traded their very valuable first-round picks for KG, Paul Pierce, and the Jet. Very bad trade, obviously. Those first end up becoming Brown, Tatum, and Sexton. Obviously, the Celtics end up trading Sexton away to the Cavs in the Kyrie deal. So their team is pretty terrible in 2017. They go 20-62, and they're the worst team in the league. They end up with the number one pick, but it's not theirs because they traded unprotected first to the Celtics. Ends up being Tatum because the Celtics, do the whole trade down thing. Anyway, I'm going to start, since it's kind of like a timeline, we'll start doing some dates. So June 20th, 2017, Lakers and Nets make a trade. The Lakers get Brook Lopez in the 27th pick, which ends up becoming Kyle Kuzma, and the Nets get D'Lo and Mozgov. So the Lakers dump salary and give a young and upcoming player in D'Angelo Russell to the Nets. 2018, they still aren't great. They're 29-53, and they're starting to build culture with Kenny Atkinson. But at least they're not the worst team in the league. I believe they end up with the 8th overall pick, which is Colin Sexton. Okay, so then 2019 is really when this all starts. D'Lo makes an all-star. I mean, he was a replacement for injury, but all-star nonetheless. He had a great season. And the culture has been, built. Kenny Atkinson has shown to be a great coach. The Nets have gone from the laughingstock of the league to a team that could actually sign a guy like Kd or Kyrie in the offseason. And yeah, they're pretty solid. They lose in the first round, but at least they made it. They were the 6th seed at 42-40, like I said. Okay, June 30th of 2019, Kyrie signs with the Nets. And then the Nets trade D'Lo for Kd in a sign-and trade. So the Nets do have to get rid of D'Lo, who is their best player, but it is fine because they get Kevin Durant back for him, and then Kyrie's also there. So in 2020, the Nets go 35-37. No KD in 2020 because he was hurt, the Achilles injury, and they got eliminated in round 1 with just kind of Kyrie, and that was about it. So after that season, the Nets fire Kenny Atkinson for Steve Nash, which ends up being a horrible move, and we'll talk about that. So Kenny Atkinson, who was clearly a good coach, got fired for Steve Nash. Not really a great decision, Brooklyn. And this is where they start, they start giving in to the superstars' demands. They have a decent core. They have depth. They have good players. But then they trade for James Harden. The Nets get James Harden, and then they trade away Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, 3 firsts, and 4 swaps. So now they get rid of Jared Allen, who now was an all-star last year. Karis LeVert, who's a decent scorer, 3 firsts and 4 swaps to James Harden. And if you still have James Harden on the roster, you're not mad about it, but you don't. But it goes well though. They go 48-24 in the COVID shortened season. They end up winning round 1 against the Boston Celtics. They were the second seed or third seed, I forget. And they lose in round 2 against the Bucks in 7. That whole Kevin Durant foot on the line, one of the greatest playoff games of all time. The Nets barely come up short, and it is unfortunate, but it is what happened. So they put together a good year. They get eliminated in round 2 because they had injuries. I don't think Kyrie played. Harden was not himself. And then 2022 comes, and it really isn't great because the Nets, they have James Harden request out, just like what he did in Houston a year ago, and now you trade all that depth for a James Harden that wants to get out of here. So what ends up happening is that the Nets, they get Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 firsts in exchange for James Harden and Paul Millsap. So you just traded Allen, LeVert, 3 firsts and 4 swaps, and now a year later you have to trade Harden for Ben Simmons. Jared Allen's obviously a much better player, and then 3 firsts and 4 swaps is definitely over Curry, Drummond, 2 firsts, and then don't forget LeVert. Yeah, not a great trade. As for how they do, they go 44-38. They make the play-in, and they end up winning their game against the Hawks, so they make it to the 7th seed. They get swept by the Celtics. One of the most disappointing series in the first round. Looked like, oh wow, the Nets are going to be playing the Celtics. This might actually be something. It wasn't. It definitely wasn't. So they're swept by the Celtics. They're kind of, they want to run it back though, because the team definitely can do better. But you know what happens. KD requests a trade. Kyrie also is like, is he gonna re-sign? Like, what's happening now? Obviously, earlier, I believe the year before, KD had already signed his extension, so you have him under contract at least, which is definitely big. But he does request a trade. He never ends up getting dealt, so it looks like the Nets are just gonna run it back with their core. The record with Kyrie and KD was like 20-4. They're looking like real contenders. They fire Steve Nash for Jacque Vaughn, and Vaughn obviously looking like a great coach. KD gets hurt, which obviously kind of derails the whole season, because they're out here. I mean, they were on pace to maybe even catch the Celtics, and then what ends up happening is that now KD's hurt. What do you do once your star player gets hurt? There's not much you can really do. But like Kyrie was still on fire, so it looks like, hey, we'll coast once KD gets back. We might be able to work back to the top 3 in the East. But that doesn't end up happening, because Kyrie asked for an extension, and the Nets are unwilling to give him that max extension that he wants. Now, obviously, they would extend him with some not fully guaranteed deal, which obviously makes sense. If you're the Nets, like, you have to be smart. You don't want to lock up Kyrie and then like he just decides not to play. We haven't really even talked about how like Kyrie barely played in the COVID shortened season 2021 because he didn't have the vaccine. That is a whole different story that we're not going to get into. So yeah, Kyrie asks for the extension. The Nets clearly don't give it to him for a good reason, and then he requests a trade. So the Nets do trade him for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, and a 2029 unprotected first-round pick, and they trade away Kyrie to the Mavs. So now you still have some decent pieces like Dinwiddie, Finney-Smith. That first maybe you could turn it into something. You still have the first from the Ben Simmons trade. So maybe you can still build around KD, like the reports were saying. Like, they're gonna build around KD, and that obviously they're getting good pieces if that's their plan, like good contending pieces. But no, they shock everyone by trading away KD. It's kind of a proactive move by them, and maybe you weren't gonna win with KD, but you don't get a chance at KD very often. So yeah, they trade KD and TJ Warren away for Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, 4 firsts, 1 swap, and 5 seconds, because they ended up sending Jay Crowder to the Bucks, who gives them 5 seconds. I think that is what happened. So now you're at the current spot. The Nets have a lineup of Spencer Dinwiddie, Ben Simmons. Those are their point guards. As for the shooting guards, they got Cam Thomas, they got Seth Curry. Small forward, Mikal Bridges, O'Neal. Power forward, Johnson, Finney Smith, and then center Claxton, and then like Sharp or Simmons could play the 5 as well. So they're currently sitting at a record of 33-22, and they're the 5th seed in the East. So we'll see what they could do. They still have some good pieces on the team. It's just a question of, are they even going to really compete? Like, do they want to? They should, because they don't have their pick, but like, this team doesn't have a star. They're just kind of good role players on it. So anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.